Welcome to the Rick Tell in the Box webcast. Our guest today is Paul Wolf, audio designer and entrepreneur. For those of you who don't know Paul, his company is Fix Audio Designs, and he has in the past been involved heavily and partially in ownership of API and many other brilliant projects. And currently, we're here today to talk about his involvement with Slate Audio. And so here we go. So here's Paul. Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. It's good to see you again.
Just a timeline. I owned API from 1985 to 99 and then sold it and then started Tone Lux and owned that till I think 2004 or 5 and then sold that and then started Fix Audio Designs. And I'm currently building immersive consoles, which is odd.
Well, somebody has to do it.
That's right.
All righty then. So tell us about some of the work you've done with Slate, some of the projects you've done. And
probably the first one was the VMS1 mic pre, and some involvement in the mic. The mic was already done, but there's always a fingerprint somewhere on it. I mean, we needed a mic pre that was absolutely razor blade flat and no distortion across the line, no phase shift or anything like that. So as far as mic pre's go, it might not be somebody's, I don't use that mic pre because it doesn't sound like this or doesn't sound like that. Well, the point of that was to make a reference mic pre. So the microphone, which is also a reference microphone, comes in with total transparency, and then the software takes over and does all the modeling. But at the same time, it's a great mic pre for some things. I've used it before, and it's just so clear and clean that it doesn't affect the sound at all. So that was the first project I did. The next one was the Slate control.
This is the microphone for everybody.
Oh yeah, there it is.
And I love it. I love this microphone. I love the emulations. And let me say that even without the emulations, it's a fine microphone.
The emulations, you put the emulations. I mean, anybody can tell the difference between anything, or they think they can tell the difference when you put one-on-one in an isolated situation. But you put any of those models in a song, and it really is indistinguishable. I mean, it's amazed me. I don't know how he does it, but he sits in this room. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. He has this, he's got one of the big Ravens, and he's got a bunch of things on it that are custom made for him, so he can do stuff and adjust things and stuff. And he's just sitting there, and then he gets it done and he sends it, and they code it, and it comes back, and it's amazing.
Well, yeah, okay. Well,
he's one of the few people that can hear. That's the of all these different companies, and this is something that has always given me my success, is because I've made records, I can hear, I can design, and I can also market. And usually you have this guy that does this guy that does this, and this guy that does that. And so it doesn't always translate. Well, Steven is the same way. He can hear, he can mix, he can play guitar, he can sing, he knows how things work. And when he does he doesn't actually code it, but he knows how to tell them exactly what to do. So that's one of the reasons why his stuff translates so well, is because he's the guy listening and ideaing,
Right. Well, it's rare that the entrepreneur is also able to understand completely that, I guess like Steve Jobs was a guy like that too, I guess.
Yeah, I look at Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, any of the guys that really, I mean, there's a lot of great products out there, but the acceleration from point A to point B is a third as much time when you're the guy doing all the steps. And that's the big difference. I mean, that's why you see things that are so far advanced so quickly from some companies, and other companies come out with stuff later. They're good, they're great, but they didn't come out like the next day because they had to go through the process,
Okay, so that was the mic preamp.
Yeah, so the preamp, the Slate control, which was the monitor controller that, it's in all the Ravens if you want that as an option. It had, 8 inputs, an 1/8 inch input. It had 3 speaker outputs, LFE management, talkback, a whole comms section, reverse talkback, um, all kinds of stuff, remote talkback and things like that. We've come out with a new one that I've worked on that is going to be released. We're actually building it right now. It's called the Slate Monitor, and it basically has 5 inputs plus a Bluetooth input, which is really cool. You can monitor more than one thing at a time, so you can mix your phone with your track, and you can play the phone into the headphones and people can play along with it, which is really valuable for people that come up with ideas on their phone and then they want to immediately work on it and they don't want to go through a whole process. And then it also has 3 speaker outputs. It's got a talkback system in it. It's got DIM. It's got it's all contained in one box, which is really cool, and it's D-sub in and out. So it can sit on the desk or it can sit in a panel just like the Slate control. And it's going to be less than $500. It's pretty cool. It's very simple, very clean, very clear. So that's the next thing. And then, the headphone thing. I didn't think he could pull it off just because I didn't think it was possible. And I'll be damned if he didn't. I mean, it's scary when you put them on and you use them. So.
Yeah, definitely. So what did you participate in on the headphones? What was your participation?
Well, I did a filter system inside it, analog filter system, to smooth out some things that he wanted, to get him more to a reference point. And then we worked together on this patent pending bass port, which is really, I'm surprised no one's tried doing it, but it's amazing what it does. It really adds another octave of low end to it. It blows, it's ported into the ear cushion, so the transmission of the low end comes in through your head, not necessarily through your ears. And it does. That's one of the reasons we can do the club simulation, is because it has that extra bottom that's there. And it was amazing, the difference between A and B. I mean, it's
I definitely the club. For those of people who don't know, one of the emulations of the headphones is a disco, a nightclub, whatever, a dance club, whatever you want to say, and you really hear the ambience of a club, a space, and also the subs like you would hear in a dance club. You hear a lot of the low end. So if you do EDM, this is an invaluable tool to be able to reference it, because if you have too much bass, it's gonna you're gonna hear it. Whereas obviously on some other speakers, you're not going to hear the basses like you would in a club. So, and of course, and then all the other interesting emulations, cars, boombox, ear pods, recording studios, mastering studio. I'll be doing a little bit of a video about all that too in the near future. But I can say that I have been using it now for about 10 days, and it really works. It's incredible. And you really can't appreciate it unless you actually mix with it. Because when you mix, you'll see that you can actually trust your ears, and then it translates very well. Really well.
I put them on, and I download. I have a USB thumb drive with a bunch of those tracks that float around. I had Stone Cold Crazy from Queen, and I mixed that, and I just put the headphones on and very quickly forgot they were on. I mean, they're very lightweight. I think some people probably think they're flimsy, but they're really not. I mean, we threw them against the wall, we threw them against the floor, we did a lot of things to test them, but we wanted to make sure they were light, and they didn't you know, that thing where you put them on and after a while your head hurts. We wanted to eliminate that because this is going to be something you're going to wear for a while.
Right.
And the cool thing about this is that, you know, when you put regular headphones on, there's a lot of SPL, a lot of peaks that are hitting your ears, and it gives you ear fatigue, just like speakers, when you run the speakers too loud. But because these are speaker emulations in the room, a lot of those peaks are softened by just the airspace between you and the speakers. So wearing the headphones for you know, extended period of time isn't the same as wearing them regularly. And a lot of people say, well, I've used headphones before for mixing and I hate them. These aren't using headphones. These are using speakers that come out of two speakers that are attached to your head. They really aren't anything like headphones. And that's the thing that just blew me away when he did it. I just like, this actually works. And when I played the thing back, when I played the mix back, it was amazing. You know, I did it. I spent like 2 hours on it, and it was amazing how good it sounded and how real it sounded compared to the original. Because, you know, I used my flanger and doubler and all that stuff, which they used a lot of. And I was shocked. I mean, how quickly it came together, how, you know, there was no fighting. You know, sometimes you fight with a mix and it just is easy, you know?
Well, I agree. I have never, in my 40 years of recording or more, have never have liked mixing with headphones. I've never really mixed with headphones. I've referenced certain things, but I've never enjoyed mixing with headphones. When I put these on, did some mixing, 5 minutes in, I didn't realize I forgot I had headphones on.
Yeah, that's a big comment we get.
You know, I was like, wait a minute, I have headphones on. So, but that's because of the space, as you said, the room emulations, and that's a very, very important part of it. And to be able to have the room emulations of a, you know, $1 million recording studio is, you know, unbelievable, you know, because it's so much an important part of the mix process. And people,
Well, a lot of, you know, a lot of the companies,
they spent a lot of money in building those rooms.
well, Jay loves these.
You know, and they,
He did a mix with him, and the guys at the studio thought that it was one of his better mixes that he's ever done. And he's mixing in the room that the headphones were, you know, based on, and it's like,
yeah,
but you know,
you got to try to believe it. It's, you know, a lot of people, especially some people, quote unquote, old timers, gave me a hard time on my Nashville Audio Professionals Facebook page. Not many, few, but they didn't try it. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's just like the microphone. You, until you use it, until you try it, you really can't appreciate it. And
well, it's not. You know, I mean, the problem with the stuff that Steven does is it's not supposed to work. You know, and it's like, I know it's not going to work. I know that this is not going to work correctly. I know that this is going to sound weird, and it doesn't, because he figures out things that, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, that's the thing. I've had, you know, one of my buddies here in Nashville, you know him, he said, you know, what the hell's with the serial thing? What the hell's, oh, it just popped up. Oh, okay. What the heck? How can I get to, oh, there it is. Okay. And then he put them on. He said, I really didn't want these to work. I just like hate the idea of putting headphones on. And after 30 minutes, I thought to myself, oh my God, I have headphones on. And then when he got done with the mix, he played it back and he said, it just blew me away how easy it was. The best thing, you know, the coolest thing is when you turn your head this way to adjust the stereo bus compressor, if you have an external one, your image moves with you, so you're still in the middle of the room. And if you have other people with you and you've got a pair of these, each guy's got a pair of them on, no matter where they're sitting in the control room, they're sitting dead center in the middle. So that is an upside of it. Now, you know, a lot of these companies have tried this. They you know, equalize the room so it sounds the same, and then they blend a little, they bleed left to right, you know, which is what the difference between headphones and speakers, because your speakers, you're hearing, you know, the left side and the right side and the left. And then they add a little bit of room reverberation, and they think that they've pulled it off. And this is not the case. This, Stephen has been working on this for, for a while, these algorithms, and he had this one idea that he tried, and it actually worked. And I had a friend of mine, he was at home and he was just messing around. He put the headphones on, put a mono mic in front of him, and he just wanted to talk in the mic and then take the headphones off and listen to see if it sounded the same. Okay. And he thought, wow, that's really weird. So he takes some keys and he goes like this around his head. Okay. And with a mono microphone, they moved around his head in the headphones. And it was picking up the ambience of the room and the reflections and the phase differences. And even with a mono source, it had space. And then his son walked in behind him. And he said, I turned around and looked straight at him where the sound came from. So it's deep.
So one of the things when over a year ago, we chatted about the possibility of headphones for mixing immersive.
Yes.
And at that time, you told me you had been working on something. I'm assuming this might have been the project.
Yes.
So can an emulation actually allow you to use these headphones to mix, say, 5.1 or 7.1, and also in immersive? Is this possible?
Well, this is the thing. Ronald Prent did an experiment where he played back the Sony 360 RA feed. They have their headphone emulation set up, and was able to turn off the room simulation. And he put that feed into the headphones, and he said that it was pretty good. He said you could hear stuff above you, you could hear stuff behind you, and that has entirely has to do with the fact that these little creases in your ears are where the reflections go in, and you can determine height, because left to right is real easy with your ears because it's a phase relationship, timing between left and right. But altitude and depth, your ears aren't this way, so it's the delay time between the direct sound and the sound through these little crevices in your ear that determines the altitude. And those little phasing differences his headphones actually reproduce. So your ear picks that up and it decodes it mentally, just like it came in at an angle, because the two phases are there. They're just not created by the delay in this cup in your ear. So your brain says it's coming from above. And it works. I mean, that's not Steven's goal right now. His goal is to get the stereo ones going and get those right. But I think down the road, I think it's something that that's the holy grail, is to be able to mix in a room. And that way you can do mixing and you don't have to have $11 million worth of speakers. And the person playing it back can play it back, and have that experience.
Another company released something to do that last week. And it's gotten mixed reviews on its ability it's software only, to be able to recreate a surround sound and immersive type sets. But it's gotten some people, in fact, one person in our group said that it screwed up the top end on one of his mixes, like he was doing an orchestral and the flutes and some, dropped in volume. So I know that these headphones, the VSX, they are impeccable. I mean, they really it's so similar to working in a good control room that it's like going home for me. Like, oh yeah, this is what I did in the 70s and 80s, exclusively. So it's really a great tool. I think you everyone on the team, you included, Paul, did a great job. And I think,
well, these guys have been working. I mean, it's amazing. They got guys all over the world that have been working on this, and you know,
Well,
I
I'd love to maybe get one or two of the other people. We'll see. And, to do a little bit of a interview video. But at this point, I just want to get started with my friend Paul Wolf. Everything that he works on is usually first rate, highest quality. So if
accept my jokes.
yeah, well, you've got a reputation.
I I just with stuff like this, it's just like when Pro Tools came out. You have to adapt to it, and once you do, it works. And if you try to record like you did with tape, it's not going to work with Pro Tools. But if you record Pro Tools like Pro Tools should be recorded, it works. And it's the same with these. You just have to do it. You just have to put them on, try them, and if you don't like them, then you're not going to like them. But you can't judge them by not wearing them and saying no, those won't work, because I go into every project like that. I go into every project says this isn't going to work, and then it does.
Well, Pro Tools is a little different. I started with Pro Tools like in the first 50 units shipped. I had been working I was out in Orlando, Florida at the time. I just moved there, and I set up a dealer, a boutique audio dealer down there with the Pro Tools line. And when they first came out, they sucked. Pro Tools sucked.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it sucked. It wasn't. It crashed a lot. It had terrible converters. I mean, it was like and of course and it got ridiculed. Slow tools, schmo tools,
Pro Tools.
whatever you wanted. And I was one of the first people down in Orlando, maybe across the country, to utilize it. But it had its bad points. But I saw the potential. The future potential of recording to disc, and then now all these people who are saying, well, this shouldn't work, or the mic shouldn't work, or what are they using? They're using Pro Tools,
Which shouldn't work.
which is no good. I mean, which the same people who were like, boo-hooing it, the same people. I mean, so my feeling is you got to give stuff a chance. Some stuff is going to work. It's going to be, groundbreaking, and I think these headphones could be that.
Well, I always tell people it's like the future is a train, and it moves forward at 40 miles an hour. And you know how big a train is. You can't stop a train. And when it comes through your town, you have two choices. You can either get on the train, or you can stand there and wave goodbye. Either way, it's going to move forward. And what I like to do is I like to get on the train, and then I like to drive the train. And that's what your goal should be. And you don't have to jump on every new piece of technology that exists, because some of it is worthless. But you need to try everything, because every now and then something works.
Yes, and and anyway, I'd like to thank you for your time today, and also thanks Stephen and the team for making a great product. And I'm sure we'll be chatting in the near future. So take care. And
I will do that. Thank you very much, and give them a try. Jeez.
definitely. I mean, they are, they're excellent. And like I said, I've been recording. I was a musician in the '60s, late '60s, professional recording artist, and then I started more in the business in the late '70s, like '78. And since then, I have never liked mixing with headphones. And I'm just trying to bring out the point that this is not mixing with headphones. It doesn't feel like it. And it's like mixing in a room that you can't usually afford.
You look at all these people that wear a stupid hat when they mix. Come on.
And anyway, by the way, that the mutual friend of ours who likes them now, he will be doing an interview as well on December 1st, and that is Steve Marcantonio, I believe you.
Yes.
And because which is coming up pretty soon. It's a big anniversary in the assassination of John Lennon, and Steve was with John Lennon that week in the studio when he was shot. And so we're going to do kind of a look back, memorial, whatever. I mean, John Lennon was one of my favorites of all time, so it's very personal to me. So I'm going to ask him to.
if you ever want to talk about that, I have a record deal that got blown apart by that night. So I'll tell you that story.
We've all been there, one way or another. Deals have broken from all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so that should be interesting. And I'm going to ask Steve about his, and and he's he's in quote unquote old school traditional, you know, trained in the record plant.
Record plant.
Right? Yeah, he trained. So I mean, you can't get any more traditional than Steve Marcantonio, but he does work in the box now as well. So if he's impressed and you're impressed and I'm impressed, everybody out there should give it a shot, give it a try.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thank you so much.
Peace, brother.
Bye bye.
See you.